Hi, my name is Chloe Schwartz, and today I have the impossible task of introducing the Maeve Karnes. Why is it impossible? Because where do I even begin? I could start by exposing my memories of our time together at Grace St. Luke's and mention her phase in middle school when she would only wear a lone ponytail every single day to school, giving her that sleek founding father look. Or I could mention the time at a sleepover when we were all arguing who's the palest, and Maeve got dubbed the palest of pale, while I came in a close second. Or I could move on to high school and talk about how, before every anatomy test, I walk in, look back at Maeve, and one of us, without a doubt, says, "This is not about to be good." But all those silly memories aside, I guess I'll say this. I couldn't be more thankful to have watched Maeve go from that low pony middle schooler into a beautiful, perfect hair adult. Maeve, you are so strong and thoughtful, and I could only hope to have half the care for others you do. You are an incredible writer, Bella editor, yoga instructor in training, jean jacket wearer, and friend. I can't wait to hear what you have to say, so without further delay, I give you Maeve Lindsay Karnes.
Recently, I've been wondering, somewhat philosophically, this. How does one measure the successes of her life? But hold that thought for a little bit, maybe start to mull it over yourself. I lifted my eyes and chin towards the sloping roofline above me. I was to be lifted over a hidden ladder that allowed access to the roof of my summer camp's lodge. A bunch of kids had thrown cornhole bags up there. My only choice was to wiggle my way through a narrow space where the two planes of the roof met. I dragged myself over the tiles, barely able to get my knees under me. The gritty ground dug into my uncalloused skin, leaving it raw and bleeding. The top roof finally let up, and I was able to stand. It was like nothing I had ever seen. The lodge was a massive building, and the roof seemed to stretch on forever like gray hills on every side of me, uniform and terrifying. I slowly, carefully, made my way to where the beanbags were and tossed them down, but I didn't lower myself to the porch immediately. I sat down on the flattest section of the roof and wiped my hands on my black shorts. My heart was knocking against my ribs from the exertion of climbing and honestly a bit of fear from being high off the stable ground. However, up there, the constant chatter of the world couldn't reach me. The world was slow and the sun was low in the sky but not quite set. The stress in my head faded into the background. I pressed my gritty fingers against the artery in my neck and found the thump of my pulse. Like an old friend, it greeted me with a soft and constant lull. Now, this isn't to say that I don't love the thrum of daily life. Let me regale you with one more story. I was going through the Ugly Mug drive-thru with a friend, though she in particular was new. Pretty typical school day afternoon. However, this time, disaster struck. In addition to our own, we had agreed to grab coffees for another friend, and so we were handed 3 iced drinks in one of those little cup holders. I circled the parking lot, intending to get back onto Perkins Extended, the shortest route back to the school. Now, the Ugly Mug parking lot has several of those tiny speed bumps that are somehow worse than the large ones. We hit the first speed bump. Unbeknownst to us, the lids of the drinks were not on properly. Coffee everywhere. My friend's dignity compromised. My seats, in some miracle, somehow spared from the sticky tsunami. To our terror and amusement, we realized that there were still 2 more speed bumps to go before we turned back onto the road. Laughter filled every crevice of my blue Honda HR-V. My heart was pounding, pumping endorphins through my bloodstream, making tears of laughter spring into my eyes. My stomach physically hurt from laughing. It still makes me smile to think about. So I just told 2 somewhat unrelated stories, right? Well, only a couple of weeks ago, I myself would have answered yes, but I'll go on. A few days ago, my literature class discussed the poem The Love Song of J. Alfred Prufrock by T.S. Eliot. One stanza lodged itself into my head and got my gears turning so much that I rewrote the speech that I originally intended to give. I'll give you a little snippet of the words that started this all. For I have known them all already, known them all. I have known the evenings, mornings, and afternoons. I have measured out my life with coffee spoons. Now, in this poem, measuring one's life in coffee spoons is not a positive thing. But again, I'll go on. I'm a firm believer that people are more than their grandest achievements, especially now in the whirlwind of college and life pressure that can be hard to stomach sometimes. However, people are not only their hardest classes or the internships they landed or the term paper on which they made an A. You are so much more complex than that. People are who you interact with on a daily basis, who make you smile or help you out. They cry on your shoulder and you cry on theirs. They bring you half a spilled coffee in the cup and the other half soaked into their leggings. They brave their fear of heights to get the cornhole bags from the roof. So I would argue that you can't measure your life in your biggest achievements, at least not alone. However, that begs the question, in what way do you measure your life? Those two stories were some of the first to come to me when trying to answer that question. They're seemingly insignificant, but have held the test of time somehow and in more detail than some of my objectively bigger accomplishments. I cherish them like silver china spoons, the kind that hang in the nice silverware cabinet. Unlike Proof Rock, I like to think that I measure my life in small moments that I will look back on with nostalgia years from now. I have a whole chest full. Some spoons are larger than others, maybe some made of nicer silver, some I've buried under all the others, hoping that they'll mysteriously get lost. But they're all there. They're all of value. I measure my life in iced matcha lattes and straw wrappers shoved into my cup holders. I measure my life in those moments where the setting sun touches your cheeks and lights up your eyes. I measure my life in laughter shared around a tub of frosted animal crackers, in weighted blankets, and music shared together on a back patio. It's not a bad thing to measure your life in coffee spoons. Just cherish every spoonful of sugar you scoop. To my class of 22, we are about to leave this place and spread our wings somewhere different. It's easy to remember what big things we accomplished here, but I urge you, don't forget to pack your coffee spoons in your luggage when you leave. Thank you.